All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Queen City Toastmasters. It's our hybrid meeting. And I see a lot of visitors, and our president in a minute is going to introduce everybody and just have you say hello, both on Zoom and in person. And I'm also going to be your Toastmaster today, so I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our president, Elvis Lopez. Sir.
Thank you, David. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honorable guests. Welcome to Queen City Toastmasters. Tonight, we have a wonderful program. And before we start with our program tonight, I would like to introduce our guests. So please, those who are online and those who are on site, we would like for you to tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your name? How did you hear about our club? And what is your goal by coming over to our meeting tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want, I can go ahead. Hello, everyone. My name is Mayank, and this is my second time joining the Queen City Toastmasters. And my goal here is to be better at public speaking. That's the reason why I'm here. And thank you. I mean, even my first, my first meeting was fantastic. Thankfully, I was able to say Kuji Chagulia pretty well back then. So hoping I'll be able to repeat the success.
Thank you. It's good to have you here
Thank
again.
you. Thank you, guys.
And for the benefit of the ones who are online, I'm going to pass over the mic to you so that they can hear you. And I will start with you.
Yes. Hello, good evening. My name is Ashley Weaver. I heard about Toastmasters through my current manager, Joyce Russell, president of the Adecco Group US Foundation. I decided to join because in my current role, I will have the opportunity to speak more publicly in front of individuals. I just want to grow and develop that skill. So I'm very excited to be here this evening, and I will pass it to Takia.
Hi, my name is Takia Williams, and I did a Google search online, and that's how I found out about Toastmasters. I've always been very self-conscious about public speaking, just never really felt like I was very good at it, and I've been kind of fearful of it as well, so I decided to join and hopefully develop that skill a little bit better. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tanya Gaines. I heard about Toastmasters through a friend of mine. I decided to take it up because I'm currently switching careers from healthcare to IT, which includes a lot of presenting. So I decided I would probably try to build up the skill.
Hi everyone, I'm Rahul and I've been a Toastmaster before back in my hometown in India. So I knew about Toastmasters before, but I wanted to explore since I recently moved to Charlotte. So I wanted to explore more about it and meet new people and see how it turns out to me. So yeah, that's it. So, and obviously the main goal is to improve my public speaking and network with people. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul. And we got one more. Let's introduce yourself and tell us how you found us.
Absolutely. Hey guys, my name is Naga. I am I moved here from Washington State. And so a couple months back, so I found Toastmasters from going online. Someone introduced me to a place where you can be comfortable speaking in front of people. So I was really excited about that. And my goal here is to really improve my storytelling abilities, whether it's in my social skills or social settings or anything like that. So I'm incredibly thankful for all of you guys here.
Thank you. You already sound very comfortable. So I believe we have one more on Zoom.
Okay, we have another guest on Zoom, LaShawn. LaShawn?
Yes, hello everybody. actually sitting outside trying to get in. Apologies for being late.
All right, so we'll wait for you to come in then.
Thank you.
All right, so as I was mentioning, it is great to preside over this meeting, and we look forward to having a wonderful meeting tonight. We have an exciting program, and you will all see. So before we get into that, we'll give just one more second for LaShawn to come over and introduce herself to the rest of the group. That's right. That's right. We could do that, and I'm actually going to do that. So this month, the 31st of this month, we have a speech contest. Is our club contest, which starts the season for the contest for the club, then the area, the division, and then the district. Whoever wins at the club level, we go to the area contest, and then whoever wins the area contest will go to the division, and so on and so forth. So our club contest is going to be on the 31st. It's going to be for the 3 areas of the Toastmaster program, which is the international speech. It's for prepared speeches, for evaluations, and also for table topics. The table topics is pretty much impromptu speaking. So we will have our contest. We would like for those members who are eligible to participate in the speech contest or table topics or the evaluation to please get with one of our officers and tell us of your intention to participate in the contest. There are some requirements for the speech contest. You need to have completed level 2 of any pathways, but for table topics or for the evaluation, you only need to be a registered active member. So those who are already a member and would like to participate as a table topic speaker or an evaluator are free to do so. And we would love to have many members of our club to volunteer to participate in the contest. It's a lot of fun, and also provides an opportunity to continue developing your craft, participating on a bigger audience if what you want to do is to improve your challenging and overcoming the challenges of the fear of public speaking, then you will have a bigger audience to go over. And as I mentioned, is also a lot of fun. So it's a great opportunity for us here at Toastmasters, and it comes twice a year. So pretty much there is a contest in spring, and there's another one in the fall. So those who want to participate now, and those who are ready or will think to be ready by the fall, then there's always an opportunity. So with that, let me go and give again an opportunity to LaShawn to introduce herself before we get to our meeting. Please tell us your name. How did you hear about us, and what are you wanting to achieve today?
Sure. Yep. Good evening, everybody. My name is LaShawn Boulware. This is my second meeting. I was on Zoom last week, so I decided to come in person today. And I've been doing a lot of speaking engagements with my company, and I have a keynote speech coming up in March. So I was like, well, let me go in and get some practice because I want to do well. So I want to start getting practice and being more engaged with folks who are also doing public speaking and looking to increase their skills. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you for coming. And now I would like to introduce the person who is going to help us throughout the rest of the meeting. each week we have another guest. Oh. Excellent. Love it. How did you hear about our club? And what's your goal tonight?
My name is Vinay, and I heard about Toastmasters because I used to be a member back home, and I just love public speaking. So I'm just here tonight to see if this is the right fit for me and if this is a place where I can practice my love for public speaking. Thank you.
I believe you are in the right place, but you will find out by yourself. Now, I would like to introduce, as I was saying, the person who is going to lead us through the rest of the meeting. Every week we have a Toastmaster member of our club who volunteers to be the MC for the night. And that is called a Toastmaster of the Day. So please help me welcome the Toastmaster of the Day, Mr. David Jones.
Thank you, Elvis. I appreciate it. Now, usually as Toastmaster, we have a theme. I don't really have a theme. I just have a few thoughts on my head, and then I'm going to get into the meeting. And we're talking about changing careers and traveling and going to Chicago. And recently I got a promotion, and I have a new position where for our larger accounts, I'm in the insurance business. I decide whether they can email us the documents or if we have to visit them. And I've been making a practice of if I want to go there, then we have to visit them, and I get to visit them. For instance, I'm leaving tomorrow for Chicago. I've never been to Chicago. And this account said, do you want me to email you all the documents? I said, no. I called her and I said, no, I've never been there. I want to go to an improv show. And she said, perfect, come in. My boss isn't here, but I'm going to be there for about an hour at my appointment, and then three days in Chicago. But as I tell this story to people, it's funny how we all want to help other people. And people will tell me, well, when you go to Chicago, you got to go here, you got to go there, you got to go this place. Now, the only person that got it right was John. John's from Chicago. John said, if you want to know a place, let me know. That was it. But everybody else says there's a place like on Church Street and you take a left and I'll send you the link. And I'm like, no, I don't, we don't need that much information. It's either, you tell me where to go or you don't. But I'm strictly going to an improv show at Second City. That's the whole reason for me going to Chicago. So that was just my thought was we want to help, but sometimes too much of a good thing is too much, right? And with that, I'm going to start introducing some of our role keepers. And for all the guests here, every person that speaks from here on out, myself included, is a role that you sign up for, and that's how you get involved in it. There's different roles that you participate in each week, and it helps you build your confidence. And then eventually, if you have enough confidence, you get up and you start giving speeches and evaluations, and hopefully Toastmasters, the largest role because you're just up here all the time talking, introducing people. But I like it because it's a role that is like at work. At work, you have to get up and give presentations, introduce people. And for me, this is a wonderful role for work. But I'm going to first introduce do we have we do have an inspirational speaker. That is wonderful. And that's going to be Allie Brooke. So please welcome Toastmaster Allie Brooke. Allie.
Thank you. Hello, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. All right, so we just ended 2022 and it was a lot ending that year, and we're heading towards a new year and there's all this fast and fury. And I was thinking, all right, what am I going to talk about and inspire everyone today? And I follow Sarah Blakely. So she started Spanx, and I read her post and I was like, this is perfect to bring in 2023. So I'm going to read her post. There will always be wind in business, in life, in relationships, goals, vacations. There will always be wind. And like so many things in life, we can't control the wind, but we can learn how to respond to it. And it's always a choice. We can complain about the wind. We can wish and hope that it changes, or we can adjust our sails. Life is full of obstacles and resistance. measure of true success is never about victory or perfection. It's about how good are you at navigating the ever-changing winds. When you are really good at responding to situations in a way that propels you forward instead of holding you back, and if there are things that are out of your control, and the things that we know, it is windy, and it's windy right now. So take a deep breath and adjust your sails.
Thank you, Toastmaster Allie. Appreciate it. Speaking of windy, did I mention I'm going to Chicago tomorrow? Yeah. Yeah. Next up is going to be our grammarian, and he is Nick Foster, and he's going to explain the role grammarian to us. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, David. Good evening, Toastmasters guests. My name is Nick. I will be your grammarian for this evening's meeting. As I understand it, I have two main purposes as grammarian. The first is presenting you with the word of the day. Word of the day is frenetic, defined as fast and energetic in a rather wild and uncontrollable way. And to use that, you can think we just all survived the frenetic holiday period of running to events, getting things ready, having family visit, and now we get to take a breath. And the purpose of the word of the day as well is I'm going to be listening to it in everybody's speeches. So keep it in your mind as you're headed up here, take a quick look to remind yourself. And as you give your speech, find some way to incorporate that. And that's part of my job to track. The other section of my duties tonight is to judge every word you say. And mostly I mean by that is looking out for the uhs, the ums, the so's, the filler words that we use to fill the silence. So as you're talking, and I'm just as guilty of it as anybody else, so you don't worry about it. That's my job to keep an eye out and give a report at the end. And I think those are all my duties for grammarian. David? Thank you.
I was going to ask you to explain it one more time. Frenetic is fast and energetic in a rather wild and uncontrolled way. Frenetic. Yeah,
Should I leave this up here?
sure. And I just used it, by the way. There you go. And the reason we asked you to use that, again, goes back to work. For instance, you might prepare a speech for the ABC account, and last minute your boss says, can you talk about the XYZ account? And you're not ready for it. But this is just one word that helps you throw something in there and get ready for it. And next up is our timer. Garrett, want to tell us about your role?
Thanks, sir. Thank you, David.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, honored guests and fellow Toastmasters. My name is Garrett, and I am going to be the timer for tonight. So the purpose of the timer is to keep the meeting on track and to time where you're at in each of your speeches. So we will be, for everyone online, I will be using a green, yellow, and red folder. And for everyone in this room, I will be using a green light, yellow light, and a red light. Green represents you hit the target time for your speech and you can finish whenever you'd like. Yellow is when you're coming close to the end point, but you're not yet there, you're still good. And then red is when you need to pump the brakes and that you're towards the end of your allotted time. So you'll see me flickering those lights while you're going through your speech and flashing those folders. So yeah, I'll be the timer for tonight. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Oh, forgot to say the times. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. So for the speeches, I'll flash the green light at 5 minutes, the yellow light at 6 minutes, and the red light at 7 minutes. For table topics, I'll flash the green light at 1 minute, the yellow at 1.5 minutes, and the red at 2 minutes. And then for the evaluators of the speeches, I'll be flashing the green light at 2 minutes, the yellow light at 2.5 minutes, and the red light at 3 minutes. That's everything.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, John, I'm going to be downtown at Second City. What restaurant, something quick and casual, should I go to in downtown Chicago? Like pizza. I think of pizza when I think of Chicago, like the deep dish pizza.
Section that's not too far in the Little Italy.
There's a little Italy there too. Okay. Okay, there you go. Just order Domino's back at the hotel, I guess, by one. Make it easy. No, I don't know. All right. We have one speaker tonight. It happens to be our president, and Elvis is on the strategic relationships pathway. And for the guests we have, it's basically our school book. It's called Pathways. It has different levels and you complete the levels. And he is on level 1, and it is creating a new business is the title of his speech. And he's contemplating whether he wants to give it or not. He's sitting there like, yes, you. He's like, me? Having second thoughts on it. It'll probably be a frenetic speech. There you go.
I hope so. Have you ever thought about starting a business or creating a business or had an idea about creating a business, but didn't know where to start? Three years ago, about approximately 3 years ago, I became an entrepreneur. The reason why I will be talking about creating a business is because I believe that we all make choices in our life that can change the course of our careers, of our lives in a positive way. Those choices are the ones that define what we are, where we are, and where we want to be. 3 years ago, I was, for the first time in my life, or I would rather say, for the first time after 30 years of being working, for the first time, I was without a job. My first reaction was to find another job similar to what I was doing. And the reason why I wasn't without a job is because I wasn't happy even after being successful at that job. I wasn't happy. I didn't find a real purpose. I didn't feel like I was going to be doing that for the rest of my life. So I decided to take another path. And while doing that, I learned certain things that I believe are important for anyone, regardless of what stage in your career you are at this moment. So my speech tonight is about creating a business. And as I started, have you ever had that great idea, but you didn't know where to start? Usually we think that we need to have a lot of money in order to start a business. We need to have something to start off, right? That is true, but also not necessarily. In order to start a business, there are 5 key points that we need to take into consideration. The first one is we got to have an idea. That's how everything starts. And that idea could be anything. It could be for a brick and mortar business. It could be an online business. And in the digital era, most likely those businesses that we're creating are online or will have a bigger online presence. So that big idea is something that we just need to try, validate it. And why do we validate that idea? Because we need to make sure that it's viable. We need to fail it fast and often so that we understand where we go from that point to the next. The second important item of building a business is creating a business plan. But before we create a business plan, it is important that we understand the market. We need to have a target audience that we are intended our business to. And by understanding our market, we understand who we need to talk to, what will be our competitors, how we define the policies and the processes that we need in order to be successful. Then we set the business plan. The business plan needs to have the foundation for us to define our financial projections, to make it viable. And that's the way for us to be able to attract investors, customers, and our employees. So the fourth point that we need in order to be successful in our business is to execute the plan. So we have an idea, we define our market, we create our business plan, we need to execute it. Our business plan is just a piece of paper if we're not able to execute it. So in order to execute it, we need to make sure that we get appropriate business, financial, and legal advice so that we can set up our business. And the fifth point is we need to be prepared for the challenges. Starting a business is not without a lot of challenges. So at that point, we need to make sure that we have to build our mindset to be resilient, to be adaptable to changes, and to pivot in order to overcome those challenges. So by this point, I would like to summarize. Creating a business will need an idea, a market, a plan, execution, and overcome challenges. It is not the most difficult decision that we're going to make in our lives. It is an important one, and maybe the most important, one of the most important ones that you are going to make in your lives if you are seeking financial independence, for example, if you are seeking to reach to more audiences and give more purpose to your life. So I encourage all of you, or any of you who have ever thought about the idea of creating a business, the time to do it is just now. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Elvis. And can we get a timers report?
Elvis, the time for that speech was 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Great job.
Awesome. All right. As you can see, the roles for the guests, you can see everybody just stands up and does a 5-minute speech or 5-second speech. And it's just to get you up out of your seat, up on stage, just to become comfortable. And that's why you do certain roles, because over time you do it over and over again. Just coming up here can be scary. And we're about to see some of you maybe do that fear of coming up here and talking for a few minutes, because I'm going to introduce our table topics master, Leon White, and he's going to ask some impromptu questions. And as a volunteer, you don't have to come up, but if you feel comfortable coming up as a member or guest, let Leon know. Welcome, Leon.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honorable guests. How has 2023 been treating y'all so far? Been good? Pretty frenetic. I was going to say that too, so mark me down for saying it as well. So as your table topics master today, I'll be asking you some random questions. Well, not so random. I decided to pick a theme since it is the new year. So questions around things to come for you in the new year. Part of table topics, as David was saying, is an opportunity to kind of think on your feet, because we all have been in either a Zoom or a Teams meeting where somebody calls on us and we're like zoned out, and you have to kind of think of something top on the head to say. This is a great moment to practice that. And you want to talk for at least 1 minute. That's the goal. And that's when you'll see the green light, and the yellow light, you'll see it at 1 minute and 30 seconds. And then at 2 minutes, that's when you'll see the red light. So with that being said, is there anybody that would like to volunteer, whether in person or online? Yeah, man, come on up, Cameron. How you been? Doing all right?
Better than I deserve.
Yes. So my question for you is, what is one thing you are looking to gain more of in this year?
Thank you for the question, Toastmaster Leon. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, the one thing that I'm learning to gain or learn from, is that pretty much the gist of it? Well, if you were here last week and heard the meeting, you would have heard each person come up here and talk about the role that they were going to do, what their goal for the new year was going to be. Well, Elvis just hit on mine. Mine is to start a business, more specifically a laundromat, to either buy an existing one, fix it up, or to build one brand new. It's something I've been passionate about for a while. I feel like it's a need that our community has, and I want to see that that business thrive and help customers and help the community. And I think that's a good avenue to do it. So I want to learn more about laundromats. I want to talk to experts like Mr. Elvis over here on how to get started, because I was the one person who raised my hand. If you saw who here is wanted to start a business, had no idea what they were doing. Yeah, that's me. So I want to learn more from people who have done it. Surround myself with those people. And I found that Toastmasters is not just a great group of people to help you with your speaking, but there's a room full of great entrepreneurs and professionals in this room that can help you with just about anything in life. So I want to learn more about that and hopefully take the plunge this year. I've learned one quote that I love is, the biggest gap in the world is the difference between knowing and doing. So I've been reading a bunch of books. I've been listening to a bunch of podcasts, but Elvis said it. Unless you execute it, it's just a piece of paper. So I need to grow some kahunas and execute. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I definitely love that answer. Starting a business is a great endeavor to partake on. So now for question 2, do we have any volunteers, any potential guests that might want to flex a little bit, give it a try? It's not, yeah, come on up. Remind me of your name again? LaShawn? Yes, Leon. And congratulations on getting the keynote speak at your company. I want to say congrats to that. But one question I have for you specifically as a guest, what is one thing that you fear about public speaking?
So I'm trying to remember the order as far as greeting everybody and how to start off. But good evening, everybody, the guests and Toastmaster members. One thing that I'm afraid of or fearful of with public speaking is a good question. I haven't thought about it. So now I'm working through the thoughts of what do I fear about public speaking? Because I've realized when I was in undergrad, my first internship, I had to do a presentation to share what my learning was for that summer. And I was terrified. So I had to write out exactly all the words I needed to say and practice numerous times. So I think in the beginning was just getting up in front of people, understanding what I want to say, how to express it. And so I've grown from that. And I realized one of my presentations at work, I was able to go up and freestyle, didn't have to write out exactly every word. So I've grown from that, but now I'm trying to figure out what is the next thing for me to overcome besides just getting more practice and being able to fully tell my story in a cohesive manner. And then also ensuring that I'm speaking with purpose and intentionality so my message gets across clearly. So I think I still need to understand more what I'm fearful of to make sure I am working towards that, and as well as developing the strengths and sharing my story cohesively. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I appreciated the way that you answer that question as a recruiter, as a tip for anybody that's on the interview. When every time they ask you about what's one of your weaknesses or something you fear, you always state it, but then you also talk about how you've overcame it and you're working towards overcoming it. That's typically what they want to hear. But yeah, thank you. Yeah. So for question 3, do we have, who is Andrea? How are you doing, Andrea? Think you're on mute.
How you doing?
I am doing well. Thanks for asking.
Great.
So for question number 3, I know a lot of times in the new year, people always talk about all these new habits that they want to form, but what are some habits that you actually formed last year that you're excited to build on in this new year?
Thank you, Leon. That is a great question. We had at another Toastmasters meeting I was in, and they were talking about New Year's resolutions and what's your New Year resolution, or do you believe in New Year's resolutions? And I had said I started my New Year's resolutions, or my New Year plan, as I call it, last year. So I have a tendency to pre-plan things out. So I know that in July, I'll be in Montego Bay, in August, I'll be in New York. So things of that sort. So I try to always think ahead. So that's something I started last year. And also, I also think ahead about how things affect me. So a lot of times we are afraid to tell other people no because of how they will react to it or how it will affect them. But we forget to think about how that affects us. So part of me doing pre-planning is self-care. So the one thing that I started in 2022 is self-care. I implore you to take time out for yourself this year, to find time for you, not just planning for your new business or your new body or your new mindset, but put in that plan time for yourself. And that is what I have started in 2022 and have taken forward to 2023 and beyond. Thank you for that question. Happy New Year.
Yes. Thank you, Andrea, for that answer. yes, very important to schedule self-care in your schedule. You schedule everything else, including self-care. Toastmaster of the day. Do we have time for one or two more? Okay. Yeah, come on up. What's your name? Raul. Nice to meet you, Raul. So my question for you is, I know a lot of times people talk about skills, making money, doing all these like extraordinary things in the new year, but sometimes we forget about creativity. So what's one way you plan on cultivating your creativity this year?
Good evening, everyone. I usually expect good evening in return. I'm not sure how would I create creativity, but the first thing that I would start is making sure that I help everybody learn here that true pronunciation of my name. My name is Rahul and it's not Rahul. People usually say it all the time. So it starts with that. And then there are a lot of things. How can I build creativity in my life? The first would be, I think, the public speaking, which I've already started doing it this year. And through public speaking, I think I can add a lot of creativity in lives of people, not only just people's life, but in my own life as well at the same time. So public speaking, sports, there are a lot of things that I can do to improve the creativity. And I just forgot the topic, what the topic was in the first place. Was it like, how do I increase creativity in my life? Okay, yeah. So I think these are some of the ways that I can increase creativity in my life as well as everybody else's. So yeah, thank you, Toastmasters, for giving me this option to be here on stage and add a bit of creativity in my life today. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, public speaking in itself is a form of creativity. And as you get into your pathways, you'll definitely find that out. Do we have time? Okay. Anybody else, any other guest or anybody online? Carla. Okay. And then I'll get you next.
If
All right,
there's
Carla,
someone in the audience you want to do, that's fine.
No, ladies first. We'll do that. So Carla, what's one new and exciting thing you are looking forward to doing this year?
Well, I want to do the opposite of frenetic. I want to have more meditation, more calm time, more walking in the woods, and those sorts of things. Most importantly, I definitely want to be more creative. I could have answered that question that was previous, because I have started and committed to writing every day. And so I have on my cell phone, I use this every single day. I write haikus, which are short little poems. I write longer poems, and I capture concepts for short stories that I'm starting to write or have written. And one day it was 2 o'clock in the morning and I woke up and realized I hadn't done one. So I got up and I wrote one, even though it was sort of the next day. And that's really the ways I'm going to be creative this year. And that's something new things I'm going to do. And I just want to have a more fulfilled life, as Andrea said, to take care of myself through those things. Thank you, Leon, and thank you, fellow Toastmasters, for letting me share that story.
Yes. Thank you, Carla. I also like poetry, so if you write any haikus about your walks in nature, I would definitely like to hear them. So one more, remind me, yeah, come on up. Remind me of your name again? Vinay. Vinay? Yeah. Nice to meet you. So for you, the question would be, what life lesson did you learn the hard way?
Thank you so much, Leon. Again, everyone, my name is Vinay. Good evening, members of the club and guests. What life lesson did I learn the hard way? As I approach being 28 years old, I had a major quarter life crisis last year. I began questioning my choices, where I was in life, why I was surrounded by the circumstances that I was in, and what could I have done differently if I could travel through time. And then I realized that if I don't take the correct actions now, I'm going to be asking the same question to myself 22 years down the line when I'm 50 years old. So I started introspecting, and I realized that my life was a product of my thoughts. My thoughts led to my actions led to my habits, and my habits led to my circumstances. So when I finally realized that I had a lot of things I wanted to change in my life, I began to change my thoughts. I believe that thoughts have manifesting power in your life. And once when you gain control over it, when you gain self-control over how you behave, then that will determine what your circumstances, what your life looks like. So I feel like I learned it the hard way, because I could have used the last 10 years. I could have learned this lesson 10 years ago too. So I hope you got something from my speech, and you're more aware and cognizant of how your thoughts control your life. Thank you so much.
Yes, great answer. And as a life coach who helps people with quarter life crisis and finding fulfillment, and even then taking up and volunteer as table topic masters, it's sometimes more important how to ask the right question as opposed to trying to know all the answers. And his story was a great testament to that. So, and can we get a timers report for our table topics? Yes.
Thank you, sir. So everybody did a great job with the table topics. Everybody met the 1 minute deadline. So Cameron, first up, he was at 2 minutes flat. LaShawn, you were at 1 minute 18 seconds. Andrea, you were at 1 minute 35 seconds. Rahul, you were at 1 minute 15 seconds. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that right. Carla, you were at 1 minute 15 seconds as well. And Vinay, you were at 1 minute 50 seconds. So great job, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Appreciate that. Now, before we move on to the next section, which is the evaluations, and evaluations are an important part of Toastmasters, where you get feedback from your peers. I just want to mention, if you join Queen City, you also get to participate twice a week, because Carla Online is part of South Park, and South Park meets on Monday at 12 o'clock. They're also a hybrid. And if you're a member of Queen City, you get to go to their club, speak, do roles, and vice versa. They come here. They're our sister club. So you get to experience it twice. Also here at Queen City, we try to have guest speakers once in a while. Not too long ago, we had somebody who'd done a TEDx, had done a TEDx talk, and he came and he spoke to us about doing it. As far as poetry, I've always liked poets because they emphasize words. And in a couple of weeks, we have Elaine Hill coming. She's going to be a guest speaker. She has a couple books published. She's going to talk about how to do poetry, which will just help you verbalize. And then next month is going to be a really good one. At the end of the month, we have County Commissioner Leah Altman coming here to talk about how to get into public service, how to become a commissioner, or whatever you want to do publicly, but mostly locally. So hopefully, if you don't get anything else, you come back at the end of February. I think it's the last weekend of February, and that should be a really good guest speaker. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our general evaluator, which is our Vice President of Education, Eric Laxer. I think you're on mute. Can't hear you. Is your usually on your earpieces, there's a little button over your left shoulder, I think, on your that thing there. Sometimes I push that and it turns it off.
Can you hear me now?
That was it.
Wow. David, you never cease to impress me. That was an unbelievable suggestion. So good evening, Toastmaster of the day and fellow Toastmasters and guests. And I am truly sorry I'm not able to be there in person with everyone, especially to meet our guests. I am at home on Zoom because I injured my leg during a frenetic game of pickleball this weekend. And I had not been a pickleball player until about a week and a half ago. And after my injury, I started reading about pickleball and humbly learned that most pickleball injuries occur in out of shape, middle-aged males. And so that was really eye-opening. Well, I am the general evaluator for tonight's evening. And so our guests are aware, every meeting has an evaluation portion, which for speaking is a very important way we learn how to be better speakers. And so I'm going to be coordinating this part of our meeting with several other Toastmasters. And I'd like to start off by introducing our evaluator this evening, who will be evaluating Elvis's speech. Please join me in welcoming Toastmaster John Capello.
All right. Thank you, Toastmaster Eric. As Eric said, we're here to get better. And tonight I have the pleasure and the honor to evaluate Toastmaster Elvis, our current president's speech on creating a new business. Now, we like to divide things for you guests. We're not just here about the words that are coming out of your mouth. That's the content. It is important. But there are other aspects that are also important that we try to key on. Things like your verbal communication style. Think your tone, your pace, your use of inflections, use of pauses. The second would be nonverbal communication style. So think facial expressions or your use of the stage, your posture, your body language. All these things that we keep an eye on here that you may not have thought about when you're just thinking about public speaking. Now, that said, I'm going to try to cover some of those, but also cover things that you asked me to watch, Elvis. Certain things you did ask me to watch were more verbal communication style rather than content. You asked me to watch your tone. You asked me to watch your pace, as well as your conversational style. I'm going to cover those. But first, let me cover some of the content and some things that I thought you did well. First, I did like the rhetorical question. He kind of jumped right into it. And whenever you come up here, jumping in, capturing people's attention right away, that is a key aspect. You got to break people's preoccupation. Second thing I liked is you gave your purpose. You laid it out. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to tell you about. And you laid that out quite nicely. So that left us knowing exactly what you were going to cover. It was very well organized. You had your 5 points. You went through and I think delivered very informational things and takeaways that we could use for someone that might be in Cameron's situation, for example. The other thing I want to call out as well is your closing, call it call to action. If you're going to be up here delivering information, you got to have a takeaway or call to action, and you had that. And I thought that always leaves an impact when you want to deliver an impactful speech. You have to have that call to action, something you want your audience to do. Let's cover your tone. I thought you were louder than you were, certainly when you started. Like when you came up and introduced the meeting, I thought with your tone or your volume level was louder. I was sitting in the back, so I could definitely hear you. You had moments where you dipped down or your inflections came down, but I thought overall, your general meeting level was louder. Second, pace. You wanted to improve or speed up your pace as you felt like you're constantly, let's say, being slower or being critiqued for that. And I thought you did move fast. It wasn't frenetic, but you did move at a faster pace than you might normally address the Queen City audience. But you did have a lot of material. So that was probably a part of why you went a little bit longer, but you were still moving fast. Conversational, I thought we could have been sitting in a coffee shop talking to me. I thought your smooth, confident style, it was very conversational. So I thought you definitely ticked that box. A couple challenges for you. Given the amount of information, I would probably trim it down to like 3. Like if you could make it an idea, a business plan, and the challenge, that I think would help slim things down. And then here would be probably my biggest thing to invite you to consider. You're very good at the pause. I would use your pause more strategically. Use the pause between each of those 3 points. And then also when you want to make a point. You're very good at just having the pause. I would use it to enhance the impact of things that you want to focus on, as well as to make distinct transition points within your organization. Overall, veteran speech, and hope to see more, sir. Back to you, Dr. Eric.
Thank you, Toastmaster John. I would now like to ask Garrett to come up and please give us a timer's report on John's evaluation.
Great job, John. 4 minutes and 2 seconds.
There you go. Good job.
Thank you, Garrett. I will now take a few minutes and provide an evaluation of our meeting as a whole. And again, for the benefit of our guests, this is one of the important things that we do as a group every week so that we could improve the experience at all of our meetings. So I'm going to start at the beginning with Elvis, who did a great job as our president, opening the meeting, welcoming our guests, giving them an opportunity to introduce themselves and share a few words about why they're coming to Toastmasters. I also appreciate that Elvis encouraged everyone who is a member to consider signing up for our speech contest, and I'd like to reiterate that just as a reminder to everybody. David, as always, you're the one who steps up. We did not have a Toastmaster of the day, and you stepped in and did a great job performing that role. One of the takeaways I have from how you did it was you kept it simple. You didn't have time to prepare a theme, and so you just dovetailed your upcoming trip to Chicago and used that as a way to make your role interesting. And I think that's a great lesson for all of us. Keep it simple, because simplicity often works. Ali, thank you for your excellent job as an inspirational speaker today. I really loved your choice. Sarah Blakely, I love the message. Life and the wind and making adjustments, useful information for all of us. Nick, I think this is your first time as a grammarian, and just my observation was you did a great job selecting a word of the day, being prepared by having the word up at the front of the room, and I look forward to hearing your report in just a few moments. Garrett, thank you for being our timer for somebody who's on Zoom. I liked how you took the folder and went right up to the camera and held it up there, so it was really clear for us to know where people stood regarding their time. Leon, you did really a superb job with table topics. There are 2 things that I want to point out that I think are important lessons for all of us to learn. Number 1, you managed the stage in the front of the room and the microphone really well. For example, when somebody came up, you repeated their name, which I think is always useful for all of us who are in the audience and on Zoom. And the second thing is that you did really well. You demonstrated excellent audience awareness. And just one simple example that I can point to of how you did that, when you had LaShawn come up and speak, you remembered that when she introduced herself to the group, she mentioned that she was coming to Toastmasters because she was invited to be the keynote speaker at work, and you made reference to that. Great job. And thank you to all of our table topic speakers, Cameron, LaShawn, Andrea, Rahul, Carla, and Vinay, especially Vinay at the end, for just some outstanding messages. John, I want to just provide a comment on you as an evaluator and use you as an example for many other members of the group. The evaluation is a speech, and you use that opportunity to work on your speaking skills by using vocal variety, by using your space up front of the room, and also by giving excellent teaching points to Elvis, such as providing the positives that he did during his speech and also recommending some useful tips how to improve his speech going forward. And these are important pearls of a good evaluator. So thank you for demonstrating that really well. I just want to conclude by mentioning a few things of how we can do better as a group in future meetings. The first thing is to sign up ahead of time for roles. so that our agenda fills up much further in advance than the day of the meeting. And the second thing is just when we do sign up for roles, not to forget, especially if we're speaking, to put details of our speech on the agenda, because that helps all of us know the title and also the person who's doing the evaluation. I think those are all the important things I wanted to mention, but I would now like to conclude the evaluation portion of the evening by calling up our grammarian to provide his grammarian report. So please join me in welcoming Nick back up to the front of the room.
Shit. Okay, so let's see how I did this evening. You all did great on all the speeches. I wasn't able to find too many filler words in there, and actually it went really well as far as the uhs, the ums. There were very few of those through all the speeches, all the table topics. I will call out our esteemed president, Elvis. You had one so fall in there, but that was it. Otherwise, clean as a whistle. So for word of the day, for Nick, had a couple people catch that in their speech. David, got an asterisk next to yours. Cameron, Carla, John, they were all able to take that new idea and incorporate it into their speech. And that's what that is there for, is at last minute, hey, include this, and you find some way to stay on topic and incorporate that new idea. The biggest filler word I heard tonight was so. And it seems to be used for a quick segue and a gentle entrance into an idea. LaShawn, I caught it in your speech, not because it harmed what you were saying, but it weakened it. You were giving an example of something you had been through and said, so I've grown from that. Whereas if there was a pause after that experience, I've grown from that. It makes that punch instead of that gentle entrance into that idea. Vinay, you came out swinging, man. Just the energy, everything was there. You knew exactly what you wanted to say from the start. The only ones I caught were a couple of uhs towards the end where you couldn't find that landing point and you were a little uncertain, and that embracing that pause and taking that breath to know I'm going here, I think would have made it 100% performance. It was awesome. A couple of ideas that I caught through the night that stood out to me was the gap between knowing and doing, and jumping that gap and moving forward and taking action. Andrea, finding time for yourself. Completely believing that if you're not ready to take on what's thrown at you, all will suffer. And Vinay, talking about thoughts leading to actions, leading to habits, leading to your circumstances, all starts with what's in your head, what are you thinking, and going from there. All around, great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. That concludes our evaluation portion of this evening, and I'd now like to turn the stage back to our Toastmaster today, David Jones.
Thank you, Toastmaster Eric. And if you wonder what I'm doing, we're trying to keep protocol of Toastmasters. You're never supposed to leave the lectern empty. And whenever it's hybrid, it's difficult to always have somebody here, but there should never be somebody walking up here and nobody standing here to greet them. Therefore, we try to just follow the Toastmaster way. And with that, I'm going to turn over to our president to close out the meeting, Elvis Lopez. Sir.
I'm back again. Thank you, David. And please help me with another round of applause for our Toastmaster of the day. Excellent. Excellent job, everyone. I would like to, one more time, remind you of our speech contest on January 31st. All of the members volunteers willing to participate in the contest, please reach out to any of the officers so that we can prepare for the contest on January the 31st. Also, for the members, we are planning to have a social gathering in February. It's going to be on the, does that help me out here, Eric? Is it the 21st?
Yes, I believe that is correct.
February the 21st. So all of the members, we are going to have a social gathering at a place that is yet to be defined. We are open to hear for ideas from any of you, but we are looking forward to having a social gathering, have a nice sharing outside of the usual meeting so that we can get a little bit more personal for those who want to continue strengthening relationships. And this is what we're here for as well. So with that, I would like to thank again to all of our guests, all the members who have volunteered to participate in the role for this meeting. And for the last time, I would like to hear those beautiful voices from all of our guests. One more time, please tell us your final impressions, your overall impressions about the meeting as a whole. So I will start with the ones online. Mayank, can you please unmute yourself?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to chime in again. I think it was a wonderful experience learning from, Rahul, Vinay, Andrea, everybody, LaShawn, everybody. I was really, really impressed with Leon. And obviously, the feedback that was given, that I was really, really impressed with it personally. I found everybody used their the stage, that was very good to understand. And the feedback helped me to understand that how you can, improve your public speaking. And hopefully I'll get a chance to be in person and be participant as well.
We're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'm going to pass it on to Rahul.
Thank you, everyone. I again had a very good time. First of all, thank you again for inviting me on stage and giving me the opportunity to be on stage and speak my heart out. And secondly, I learned a lot, especially the feedback part. Everyone the best part is obviously how you improve yourself. That's why we are here for. And that is what I learned most about today. The general evaluator, especially the evaluation, that was really good on top of it. Yeah, thank you. I had a good time.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Tanya. I was also really impressed by the feedback and also the 1-minute table discussions, how many of you were able to really just hone in on something and bring it home.
Thank you, Toastmasters, and also guests. I was also very impressed with the environment and how encouraging and how you motivate members and also guests to get up and share their stories. And I really like that. It helps a lot when you're fearful of public speaking to have an encouraging environment. So I was impressed with that.
Hello, Toastmasters and honored guests. I again echo the sentiments of Tanya and Takia. It was very nice to come into this environment. It was very organized, not frenetic this evening. And I look forward to joining in the future and learning more and improving my skills.
Good evening, everybody. My name is LaShawn, and it was a great experience. I'm learning more about the things I need to improve on, and thank you for calling out the so, because I realized I said that last week, and it is something I've been holding on to versus the ums and the uhs, so I need to graduate from the so's. But thank you for the feedback, and I appreciate this group.
Yes, my name is Naga, and honestly, I'm really proud of every single person who got on stage for the first time or have been up there. It was truly it was truly a big confidence booster to see people who have probably it's their first time getting on stage and trying it. I really love your story, and I love how you called out Mr. Grammer. You called out all the so's and the ums, and you really taught a lesson on public speaking. I think that's a valuable thing that we can take on to our daily work stuff. So right there, another but I appreciate it. And so thank you for the amazing lessons for today. Thank you.
Thank you much.
Thank you so much, everyone. This is my first time trying to find a public speaking club in Charlotte here. And I'm glad to find that this environment is very welcoming. And I felt that the pace of the meeting was very much it was very well, because I feel like we didn't waste a lot of time. Neither did it go too quickly. Everyone got a fair chance to get up and speak on the table topics. So I'm really glad I found a place where I can visit regularly and hone my public speaking skills. And thank you so much for the great feedback, Nick. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks, sir. Also, if you're looking around at different clubs, you can see our banner up here. There's a lot of ribbons on there. I don't want to brag, but we are one of the top clubs in the district. We've been around since 1954. And the other advantage of Queen City is if you go to our webpage, on the bottom left is social. And if you click on YouTube, as you can see, we record every single meeting. So if you gave a speech, you can go watch yourself and evaluate yourself as well. Finally. Oh, you went first? Okay, because you came over here and I missed that. So.
Sure. Thank you, David. To our guests, in order to be able to participate in our meeting as a speaker, or to fill out some of those roles, you need to become a member. So any of you who are interested in becoming a member, you can speak to any of our officers or myself, and we will guide you through the process of applying. So with that, I would not be frenetic about the next thing that I'm going to do, which is call this meeting adjourned. Thank you so much, and good night, everyone.